Okay, but let's do this.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, everyone's recording?
I am
Yes.
recording, Captain.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Short Shot Gamescast. Each and every week friends gather around to talk about the things that are going on in their lives and the games they've been playing. This week we're going to be discussing our top 10-ish games of the year.
Emphasis on ish.
I have 10. I have 10, damn it.
For me, that's for me personally.
Today we
I don't care
have...
if Thomas is still showing off his TV instead of himself.
I'm on the right side. People can see my TV. Yeah, we have Justin this week.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Kirby now, apparently.
We have Lo,
Yo.
and we have Ben.
What?
What's up with these introductions today?
It was.
I don't even
I just
know.
thought of Undertale because I streamed it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
dude.
Papyrus. That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
Half.
that's a game.
Nice.
Yeah, that is the game. But let's talk Game of the Year, peeps. Or Games of the Year, rather.
We're not going
Oh,
to talk
sure.
anything else? Is it just Game of the Year?
I think if we talk Game of the Year, it's going to be long enough. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you have anything you want to talk about.
No,
assume
I
there's gonna be
don't know if
gushing
we're
in
actually
this
talking
episode.
about games we've been playing or if it's just Game of the Year games.
Okay.
That's what I was wondering.
We also have Ben's trivia thing that we might do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About that. Hold on.
Okay, maybe we do that next week then.
No, because you're here. I'll look it up because we got a while to get to it. So let's do Game of the Year stuff first. It won't take long.
So you have an action-packed show this week.
Oh
Uh,
no.
So, Lo, how many games do you have on your list?
Okay, so sorry. I was I was sipping alcohol
Okay.
right when you asked me that. So
I was trying to get this through this before we started, but now we're in the middle of it, so I have to ask you now.
1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4. No, I have 5, but I have 4 that I actually have something to say about them. So one's an honorable mention technically.
Okay. Should we just go do our 5 and then we start with Lo? Okay, but that cuts them out quite a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You got to save some stuff for the written versions.
Anyways, Justin, we want to start at 10 and then work our way up?
Like each goes 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems cool.
Sure. I mean, my numbering isn't necessarily finalized because here's the thing. I have 11 games. One's an honorable mention, but one I put on there because I wrote this like a few weeks ago. One I put on there in hopes that I would play it before the end of the year, just assuming it would be on my Game of the Year list.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to play it because I bought a house instead. So I own it, but I haven't played it yet. So I think I'll have to drop it to 10, with my honorable mention being number 10. So yeah, the numbering's a little weird on mine. I'll have to, try to remedy this as I'm reading it. But yeah, I can start if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Then, according to this list, my number 10 would actually be kind of a weird one, which is why it was an honorable mention originally. It's the Jackbox Party Pack 5.
Ooh.
Nice.
The reason I really like this game is because, for one, it's all new. It's all new games. Like, there's no fibbage, there's no quiplash, anything like that. The closest there is to like an old game on it is You Don't Know Jack. Like, what spawned this whole thing in the first place, like the old board game with like, I think it was like a DVD element or something. You Don't Know Jack. They put kind of a new like digital version of that in this, but everything else is all new about it. And what's really fun is specifically the game called Madverse City, which is basically like a Mad Libs rap game. And it's so much fun. Like, you have to get a good group that kind of has that, that sensibility of like being able to rhyme things and have fun with it. But it's essentially the sole reason this game is on my list. So I'll kind of explain it a little bit. So basically, you are given a prompt, which could be like a proper noun, adjective, adverb, something like that. Kind of like a Mad Libs. So you put a word down, and then it generates a sentence that ends in your word, and then you have to write a whole line that rhymes that last line that they generated for you with your word. So you know what words you're going to be rhyming, but you don't necessarily know what the actual line is going to be. So once they give it to you, then you're like, okay, I have to think of something that's like thematically similar to this. And then you'll do that again, and you'll like basically it'll create kind of a 4-line, rap stanza that will go against another person's 4-line rap stanza. But it's actually spoken out by these like goofy kind of old-fashioned robot, like blocky rap robots. So they're like it's kind of this cutesy like colored like really like highly colored kind of lo-fi art style, and they're just like kind of doing like basic animations and using like robot voices to say your words, which is really funny with some of the stuff you come up with. If you get like really raunchy or something, they're like struggling to understand the words that you wrote. It's really fun. And we've gotten like 8. I forgot to turn my hater off. BRB?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
What'd you want to say?
Nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, Jackbox seems like a fun game.
Yep.
Usually Brooke gets my back on that, but she's in the bath. So yeah, we had like 8 people in there at one time, and not all of them were good at spelling, which makes it even more fun because they're saying the misspelled words. And yeah, it's a really fun game when you get a good group together. Also, so like even the computer, like if you have like 3 or 4 people, well, if you have an odd number of people, I should say, there will be a computer generated one, and sometimes their weird little like auto generated raps are better than what the people come up with, and that can be really fun. So yeah, there's like a lot of the new games are really fun. Like there's one called Split the Room, that is basically you're trying to kind of come up with scenarios that people would be torn on. It's kind of hard to explain, but you basically you don't want everyone to vote for you. You want like kind of a yes or no question where some people would want to do it, some people wouldn't, because you get more points for splitting the vote between the people. It's fun, but it's more like weird and kind of quirky. The You Don't Know Jack is actually excellent. I never really played that like in board game form or anything, so this is my first experience with it. And it's a traditional trivia like game show type thing, but all of the questions are kind of presented in a quirky way, where it's like it's a fairly normal like who is this famous director type trivia question, but it'll be like something about a movie of theirs, and then like if they were to be in this role, what would they do? Or I don't know how to explain it because it's all weird kind of like scenarios that they create. But yeah, it's kind of a fun take on a trivia show, and like the final version of it, you're just kind of like matching, like you're selecting options that like match the top topic. Jackbox is hard to explain. But the point is, I think this is like one of the most original packs they've put out in a long time. I feel like 3 and 4 around there got kind of stale with some of the stuff they put in there, and they put a lot of creativity into making it new. So yeah, check it out. It's actually on sale right now on Switch. I don't know if it will be when this goes live, but it is currently.
All right, that's it for your honorable mention.
Well, that's number 10, technically.
Oh, that's number 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben.
My number 10/honorable mention is Street Fighter, the 30th Anniversary Collection. It's not a new game, technically, but it is a collection of 12 Street Fighter games of past, a celebration of its great history, starting from the mediocrity that was Street Fighter 1 to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. It's a great, if you're a person who loves history, it has a lot of great behind-the-scenes stuff of the creation of Street Fighter, great timeline of how everything worked out, great artwork that's been seen and unseen, and plus the games, 12 different Street Fighter games, which they may not seem different, but when you play them and you break them down, you're gonna notice the difference.
Mhm.
I mean, you get that first Street Fighter game, which is
the first one. You got to play the first one, even if it's for 5 minutes. Just mash out sure you can and try to help you get it, and then get full by Sagat at the end. But it's great. I still find myself every now and then popping it into my Switch, and I'm just gonna play Street Fighter Alpha 2 because I want to, or hey, let's do Championship Edition today. If you're a Street Fighter fan, buy it. The good thing about Capcom games, especially on Switch, they go on sale pretty regularly. So if you see it for $25, it's a steal. It's a great collection. If you've either been a fan of the franchise and you wanted to play these games for some time, or if you're if you're going to be diving into the Street Fighter series, this is a great introductory to it. I love it. It's not a new game, but it's a great collection that Capcom put out. I just wish the online was better, but that's my only complaint.
Okay. So my honorable mentions, actual mentions, are just because I didn't play a lot of it throughout the year, but I really wanted to. And these are some pretty top quality games. We have God of War, Yakuza 6, and Mega Man 11. I haven't played a lot of those throughout this year. Other things that have taken my time, Destiny 2 Forsaken. But yeah, if I played through those games, I probably would be higher on my list or somewhere in the top 5. The other two I want to talk about just briefly is American Truck Simulator. This is the game that made me. Hey, this game. There was DLC that came out this year for it. Okay, so let me talk about
Who's
it.
dying?
That's low. I'm gonna edit that out so it's not gonna sound like he's dying. But yeah, he's dying.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
I'm just saying, American Truck Simulator took a lot of my time this year, and I just fell right back into playing sim games. It's probably the first sim game I played in a very long time. But it's made me use my steering wheel that I bought for one of the games that are in my top 10 games. And then Hitman 2. I really liked Hitman 1, that first one. This is more of it. They've made some life improvements on it. But it just feels like I like the maps in the first one more, and it just feels more samey. I kind of want new stuff in my list. Stuff that I haven't played before or struck a chord with me. So, yeah, it's not in my top 10. But what is in my top 10 is Monster Hunter World. That's my 10th game on my list.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that game.
That game came back out in January.
Yeah, it was an early one.
A lot of people really got into it, saying it was like their first foray into Monster Hunter, and how it actually made it accessible to them. I was one of those people. I just fell off because I went back into Destiny. It actually made me want to explore the other Monster Hunter games, even though I know it doesn't have those life improvements, because I just bought Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on my 3DS. So, yeah, it's got a great loot grind to it. Online is busted. You need to figure out how to work out getting with people, which kind of sucks. I know a bunch of people that bought it on the 4. I bought it never mind. I just don't have those people on my PSN. I should reach out to them, Abba, if you're on PSN, and get playing with you. Yeah. Yeah, so 10. I like the monster designs. They're really cool. I like the world that it is, with cats feeding you food and stuff. I need to branch out for more of the weapons. There's a lot of weapon diversity in that game. They all play differently, different stances. So I would like to get back into that, but there's so many other games, and my constant game is Destiny right now. I don't see myself going back to it, unfortunately.
Right now.
Yeah.
But since I have the 3DS, I'll probably be playing more Monster Hunter on the handheld system going forward because of this game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter blew up this year, and I'm really happy for it.
It's like it's like Capcom's highest selling game ever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A big year for them.
Yep.
That's great.
Justin, what's your number 9?
Oh yeah, Lotus doesn't have that many. That's
Yeah, we'll try to bust through these bottom 5 pretty quick.
Yeah.
just so we can get to
I'll
low.
try to go a little faster. I know you guys know I like to ramble.
Yep.
So my number 9 then is what?
I was like, oh, I didn't notice.
Lies. My number 9 then is Sunset Overdrive.
Nice.
And as I wrote in the write up for this, before you at me, remember that this game originally released in 2016, but it just came out on PC in 2018, so it counts. All right.
Yes, it does.
Oh, let me go and add Killer 7 to my list then.
Do whatever you want.
I know.
If it's a game that released in 2018, it counts. So, anyway, the whole reason this game is on the list is because of its style. Like, it's just so cool to play. It makes you feel cool. Like, zipping around the city, like, grinding on rails and bouncing on everything. Like, literally, you can just, like grind in a circle on some areas and just shoot all the things underneath you before they can even touch you. Like, they can't get up there. It's just so much fun. And the weapons are, like, ripped right out of a Ratchet and Clank game. The visual style is really interesting. It's essentially the proto engine for Spider-Man on PS4. Like, it scratches that itch in a fun and unique way that, playing Spider-Man for the third time won't do. Although I still kind of want to play Spider-Man for the third time, not going to lie. But now that the DLC is over, I need a reason to jump back in. So, yeah. This game is still really fun, and I was super upset that I missed it originally because I didn't have an Xbox. So it's been really awesome to be able to jump back in now. And I hope I can play more of it, but I haven't had a lot of time lately. So this is kind of just a quick and dirty on it.
That's why I like it, quick and dirty.
Right?
Ben, what's your number 9?
Coming in at number 9 is a game that came out right before I took my trip to Chicago. It's Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon. I never was a Castlevania guy growing up. I never even knew it existed until I saw JonTron do a video about it in 2011.
Nice.
So I
On this game?
No, just Castlevania in general.
Oh, I was thinking it's a bit of a
Wow.
No.
Jeez.
I bought it because I remember the Kickstarter for the actual game was supposed to come out at some point, I guess. But I bought this because it was $10. I was like, well, okay, let's give it a shot. It's a great love letter to classic Castlevania, specifically Castlevania 3, with the 4 different playable characters. It's not super difficult. It's really accessible. It's really fun. It has different endings depending on which decisions you do. For $10, you get a lot of mileage out there. The sprite work is classic 8-bit. It looks like Castlevania. It feels like Castlevania. It has some bullshit Castlevania had, but it's not enough. But it's not too much to where you want to quit playing. It's a really wonderful game. If you haven't played it and you're hungering for a Castlevania fix because Konami's not going to give it to you anytime soon, buy this. It's $10. It is $10. It's worth that. If you can't afford $10, wait for it's on sale. It's on $5. Perfectly fine. But buy it. It's one of my favorites. I love playing it. I occasionally find myself just popping it in, playing a level or two, and that's it. I need to finish the other endings at some point before the actual proper game to this one comes out. But Inti Creates, shout outs to y'all again.
Nice. I keep forgetting to add that game to my list. So like I guess it was I guess it was just forgettable for me. Like I really enjoyed my time with it. I just keep forgetting to include it in my discussions of it. But yeah, I would add that to an honorable mention for me as well. But number 9 for me is Return of the Obra Dinn. Some of you might remember me talking about this. This is the weird-looking adventure game where you are an insurance adjuster and you go onto this ship and you delve into people's times of death and try to figure out what killed them and who they were. The only reason this is a little bit lower is that I got to a point where I thought it was the end, but I missed a chapter completely. And it's kind of hard to figure out how to start chapters. It's a little obtuse in what it is. So for me personally, I have to look up things on the internet and try and figure things out rather than just naturally coming to the conclusion. You could say I'm a dumbass. That's fine, but
no,
I find it. I found it to be a little bit
for.
obtuse in what to do. But the story in it is pretty crazy. We might do some spoilers for some of these games, so just a heads up. There's a sea monster in this. There's actually more than just a kraken. There's some weird shit with mermaids and stolen treasure, cursed treasure. This game has a lot of style to it. It's definitely one to check out. And yeah, that's the end of my take on Overdid. Justin.
Yes. What was this, number
Ocho.
8?
Yep.
Number 8. Okay. Like I said, all my numbers are off. And I don't want to change them yet because I might still have this list change before it goes out.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. My number 8 is Pokemon Let's Go, specifically Eevee, for obvious reasons. So this is mostly here for nostalgia. It's not that high because as far as Pokemon games go, it's fairly lackluster. But just the idea of it being like a Pokemon Yellow remake in HD on the Switch is just like, it's such a cool novelty that it deserves a mention at least. I have my problems with the game, like how it kind of picks and chooses what parts of current, lore to focus on. Like it's got the Alolan forms in there, but it only has the original 151 plus 2 that are from 8th gen. All that stuff that just like is kind of messy, but also it's just really fun. And I mean, if this is even close to what we're getting with 8th gen, like I'm happy. And Eevee's adorable, so there's that. But I actually haven't played it in a while because I let my brother borrow it, and he was going to give it back, and I was like, no, just beat it. It's fine. I've got like Smash and other things to play right now. So I will beat it, and we'll see. I've heard the post game is kind of lackluster, so that is part of why it's not much higher. But I've enjoyed the time I've put into it, and it's definitely one of the top 10 games I've played this year. So, it's on the list, but it's not the best Pokemon game by far.
Ben.
Coming in at number 8 might shock people, but at number 8 for me is Dragon Ball FighterZ, which came out earlier this year. I mean, no. Okay, anyway, continuing. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a hugely anticipated game. It was one of the most anticipated games of this year. I loved it. I waited till I get it on the Switch. When I played this game, I got an Ethernet cord and I played it, there was a rush to this game. It's super intense, it's engaging, it's simplistic, but yet it's super awesome. But the reason why it's so low is because it has so many problems. It's the online is just not great. It's bad for the most part. And how there's a lot of little things that make it not perfect, far from perfect in my opinion. But when I like how you get colors, the story mode is boring. How certain DLC is handled, it's just there's a lot of problems with it. I don't feel like a lot of people are shining on it too much, but once I got a match, despite that it would take 15 to 20 minutes to find a goddamn match. Once I got one and I played it and I kept playing the same guy over again with equal skill level and just back and forth, just trying to outthink your opponent with the simplest mechanics. I was engaging. Like, it's just so much fun with, okay, I got you down 2, bam, up in the sky, into super, into level 3. It's just so much fun. But it's so low because of everything around it, everything surrounding it. You have to go into separate modes for offline and online.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like and again, you can't, like in other games where you can just buy colors, you had to randomly get them from loot Boxes, so you may not even get colors, the ones you want for the characters you want to play. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, but the game is fucking amazing. Like once you play it, and whether you're a top tier Evo winning champion, shout outs to you, Sonic Fox, or you're a scrub like me, the game's great. But yeah, that's why it's at number 8.
And my number 8 is State of Decay 2. I talked about this is another early in the year game. I think it came out around April, right?
March or April. I don't know. I meant to get it and then didn't have money around then, so it was
right. The first State of Decay game I didn't play a whole lot of. I played a little bit more in State of Decay 2. I couldn't tell you the differences between the two.
State of Decay 2 is multiplayer.
Yeah, I think that's probably about it. But for some reason, I played this game a lot more. I like the survival mechanics to it, and recruiting people for your team. I remember having or telling you guys about the stories that I've had. One of them was like there was this asshole that I needed to get rid of because he was causing problems for all my other members. Like there was that that personalized story of like the different people that are part of your group is what I enjoyed about that game quite a bit, and also the base building. I should get back to it. It's just one that again fell off for other games that I was playing throughout the year. But yes, the other game. But yeah, I like that that conversation between the different characters in your groups and like trying to solve problems between them and the zombie hordes. I like that there's a decision where you can just leave one to die or go out with one and just kill them to get rid of the problem. But yeah, State of Decay 2, I need to get back to that again.
Nice.
So Justin, 7.
Yes. 7 is a 3-pack of Spyro the Reignited trilogy.
Ooh.
So I say it's a 3-pack, but it's kind of just for the first game. Because it's really the only one I've played. But man, the nostalgia feels good. Like that is a game that's perfectly remade, and feels just like it's a new game on PS4. Like they really didn't do anything to it. They just made it look nicer and put it on the new system. I mean, it's not it's not a remaster. They actually built it from the ground up, but they didn't they didn't update it or anything like that. They added a map system to the first game. It was only in the second and third originally. And they gave the dragons a little more personality, but that's it. It's the same game. But I enjoyed that more than most other games this year. So that's saying something. Honestly, a lot of my games on this list are either like throwbacks or like modern remakes. So it's telling that a lot of the actually original games this year didn't really interest me. But yeah, I was super hyped for this game. It lived up to the hype. I'm still not a huge fan of the second game, so we'll see if I stick with that. I might just jump to the third one, which I also have a lot of nostalgia for. But I don't know if it's nostalgia driving my interest in the games, or if it's just that the second game isn't that good. I've been told to give it another try by some people on Reddit. But I don't know, man. I will say,
do what the
though,
internet tells you to, man.
Right? I will say that there's some dumb parts of this game. Like, I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more to update it. Because, like, the bosses are basically non-existent. Like, they're just, you go across a platforming stage, you, like, slam into them, and then they run away. You go through the next part of the platforming stage, slam into them, run away. Like, that's it. Even the final boss is that way. Except it's basically a one-hit kill, where if you fall off the stage or something, you have to do the whole thing over again. There's a lot of crap in that game. But the collectathon elements are real good. So that's pretty much it. I still love Spyro.
Cool. Ben.
Coming in at number 7 is a game that I wish would eventually become an actual Saturday morning cartoon. It's Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. This is a Metroidvania game because Lord knows everybody loves a good Metroidvania. Very fun, very energetic. I love the soundtrack. It's nice to support a second property that isn't a big mainstream one. Very beautiful graphics, very wonderful art style. Certain aspects I wasn't a fan of, like certain bosses just had a little bit extra bullshit, as I said in our previous show. But still a very, very enjoyable experience. I hope this means we'll get more Monster Boy games in this style, but still a very, very fun time. I'm glad. Never heard of Monster Boy / Wonder Boy before, but I'm glad I heard of it now. Number 7.
Nice. My number 7, I hope I don't get shanked for this one.
Oh, I'm ready.
It's Spider-Man. Dun dun dun. No, I really enjoyed my time with Spider-Man. The stuff that I loved the most about this game was the interactions between Peter Parker and MJ, and like he's shaking me already. Yeah, I like the interactions between MJ and Peter Parker. Like their relationship of breaking up and getting back together again and all that good stuff. It's probably the best MJ and Peter Parker interactions in I've only seen the movies and the shows, so out of all that stuff, this is it.
It's the best.
Yeah, it is.
She's so good.
She's great. Love her. It's just some of the stuff, like the side stuff, I really hated. Like the challenges I talked about on the last podcast, like some of the side stuff I just absolutely did not like to do, and I didn't like that. It locked me out of some of the costumes that I wanted to play around with. I didn't even unlock all the gadgets to use because I had to get challenge tokens. I was like, fuck that.
I actually I just finished some of those in the DLC. Like it's kind of nice because you keep getting that stuff through, like it all compounds in the DLC. So it's like it's actually kind of incentivizing you to continue playing.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean.
I also don't like it when it gets to the point in open world games where it's like everything's on lockdown. Here's the military everywhere, and it just makes it harder to get around the city. It's like people shooting rockets at you all the time. It's easy to get away from, but it's just a hassle. But everything else on my list, I don't think there's a single thing that I actually hated about the game. That's the only reason why it's on 7, because everything else I just really enjoyed.
What's funny is everything you said was correct. Like, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and all the villain stuff, like with the stuff with Octo Octavius. So I won't get into all of it because I know Justin's going to spill all over it, shoot his webs all over it. And it's great. It's a good ass Spider-Man game. So yeah, Justin, number 6.
Number 6. My number 6 is Mega Man 11.
Nice.
I considered putting this higher, I'll admit, but at the end of the day, it's still, I mean, it's a base Mega Man game. Like, I don't like those as much as Mega Man X or anything like that. But it's also one of my favorite original Mega Man games. Like, it's one of 2 that I've beaten. The other one was Mega Man 8, which I know people have opinions on. So it kind of holds a special place in my heart for that. It has some of the most brilliantly designed Mega Man boss like levels, as far as the way it lays out the rooms and stuff. I've talked about it plenty before, but it also, like, a lot of the powers you get aren't really that useful to actually use in the levels. So it kind of feels, I mean, it feels like the 11th entry in a series, you know? Like, it treads a lot of the same ground and things like that. But it's a new Mega Man game in 2018. It gets mad props for that alone. And it was one of those games where I got it and I couldn't stop playing it. I think that's the sign of a great game. But there's nothing specifically that stands out of why I loved it so much. Part of it goes back to that thing of, like, my list is mostly nostalgia. And it hit that hard. So, yeah.
Nice.
That's it.
Ben.
Okay, continuing the trail of waterfalls. Number 6 for me is a game that just came out a couple weeks ago, and it's Gris, published by Devolver Digital. Namada Studios made the game. I remember seeing this game back in the summer, and I was like, I need to play this. It looks beautiful, and it is beautiful. I streamed it on Twitch, which I'll plug at the end. I don't want to interrupt it now. But needless to say, this was an experience. It was so relaxing. It's a puzzle platformer that just encapsulates sort of everything about overcoming depression or overcoming. You can see in this, it's very much how you interpret it. It's depression. It could be a trauma. It could be loss of a loved one. It could be a lot of things. But towards the end of it, when because as you go through the game, you sort of unlock colors that sort of make the world come more life around her. And the final sort of area of the game, like, you see all the colors, you see the blues, you see the reds, you see the greens, you see the stars, you see all these beautiful things. And, like, I got overwhelmed. Like, I started crying a little bit on stream because it's just so overwhelming with emotion. And there's no dialogue. There's no, like, close up on her face too much. There's a little bit of a cutscene at the beginning and the end. But it's just all told through music and through the gameplay and through the aesthetics of everything. It's such a beautiful game. It's short. It's only about 3.5, 4 hours if you go through it. It's not real. If you're looking for a explore kind of thing, this is not it. This is I want to relax, or I need something to calm my nerves, or I want to see something triumphant. This is definitely one of them. I wish it didn't come out when it did, only because it got enveloped in what I'd call the smash hole, where everything just got ignored
Gross.
by it. Coin that, please. So like nobody was talking about it, or at least not enough. So hopefully, me putting it at number 6 is gonna do something for it. Again, it's only 4 hours, similar to things like Journey or I mentioned it last freaking week, but I'm gonna ignore it for now. The diving game,
Abzu.
It's similar to that. It's very good. And again, I streamed all the entire game, and I became overwhelmed with emotions at the end. But that's number 6. Gris, please go play this game if you want something different in your life.
Put some grist in your smash hole.
Oh, just don't put coins in it. That's all. Number 6 for me is Donut County. This is just a delightful game that you can finish and play in 2 hours. Complete experience. The art style is great. The music is great. Best in-game cell phone stuff, maybe, possibly. You can buy this game on your iPhone if you want the emojis. Yeah, it's just absolutely relaxing. Just making your hole bigger, making that smash hole bigger. It's all about.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
dear.
I had a great time with it from beginning to end, and I recommend it. So number 5, let's start with low.
Okay, so my number 5 is my honorable mention because it's more there for kind of personal reasons, and also I actually kind of worked on this game. It's NBA 2K19. So
collusion.
That's
No
cheating.
collusion.
well, hear me out. Just hear me out. Okay, so
He's only played 5 new games this year. Come on,
yeah, I've only played 5 new games. Come
it's on the
here we go.
bottom of his list.
It's an honorable mention for crying out loud. So, okay. So first of all, this game, yeah, like I said, first of all, I worked on it. I did QA testing for it just this most previous summer. And it was interesting because it's funny because it took being forced to play a sports game, more specifically a basketball game, to remind me, oh yeah, I actually enjoyed playing basketball games. So like the entire time I was like testing it and all that stuff, even though I was, testing it for flaws and things like that, whatever. Like I was like, oh, this is cool. Like whatever. Like it's, I enjoy sports games. It's like, yeah, I used to play a couple of sports games back in the day, and just kind of reminded me of that kind of thing. And yeah, and it's not a bad basketball game either. It's not horrible. It reviewed fairly well on consoles, not so great on PC, but
just keep looking at
kind
that
of
score.
yeah, I like looked at it the first day and it was like okay, but then I was after that I'm like no, I just don't check anymore. But I mean it ended up being fine on consoles. It was a very functional game, and one nice thing about it is one thing a lot of people complain about was a lot of the microtransactions that are in the game. But here's the thing: pretty much everything you do in that game will earn you currency. So it's like you don't even have to like go online and play against other people, whether you're into like the PvP, the PvE. There's like every single mode would earn you like just this currency, so you can just like get stuff in the game. So you can still kind of keep up with everybody else. Not so much with the people who just buy like everything day one, max out the credit card or whatever. That aside, I just remember that being like a really big complaint. But that's kind of one thing that I actually was really surprised with this game, because I kind of figured that they would kind of, I don't know, I always kind of thought that they would just kind of like really just lean into that sort of thing. But it's like I said, it's a serviceable sports game, and it's the first game that I have my name in the credits of, so that's pretty cool. I haven't played it since I tested it, but but yeah, it's just nice to pop in every once in a while, play a game or two. So for that, it gets honorable mention.
Cool. Justin.
Number 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. You'd think I would catch on to this like being one ahead thing, but no, I'm not. My number 5 is Celeste. As I'm sure Ben will appreciate.
Top 5, boys.
Yes. I debated putting this higher, honestly, but I'm not very good at it. So, like, as much as I love it, it's just not my style of game. I did give it a perfect score, in a review. So I think that's telling at how good the game is. But as far as my own personal top 10, this is as high as I felt comfortable putting it for me. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I can say about this game. I mean, the story is beautiful. The game is hard but satisfying, ladies. But
Oh, no.
also, it's such a good atmosphere, and just like the feeling you get while playing it. Yeah, you're gonna want to break your controller in half, but it's like it's the best version of that. You know what I mean? And I keep wanting to play more of it because it actually, like, a lot of these games, like Super Meat Boy and stuff like that, they're just levels to levels to levels. Like, there can be some fun little goofy things in between, but there's not really anything engaging there. It's just like the need to beat it. With this, there's actually like an alluring story to kind of keep you going. So even when it's super frustrating, you're like, okay, what just happened? Like, I have to know, like, I have to keep going to find out what just happened and get some resolution to this. Like, again, I don't want to get too much into spoilers on any of these games, but there's a section that takes place in a hotel. And the owner of this hotel is kind of stringing you along, and you're just like, okay, what is his deal? Like, why is he like this? And so it's like, it's, every part of the level is literally just like the same thing. You have like a screen of a challenge that you have to get past. But there's this guy that's just kind of like literally pulling you forward to the next screen in such a unique way that a lot of these games don't have. And so, like, even when I, put it down for a while, I still want to go back to it. Like, I haven't beaten it, but I keep wanting to go back to it whenever I have a few moments. But then I get mad a few screens in, and I'm like, okay, I have to take a break right now. So something that, like, it's good in short bursts, or if you're Ben, just, like, play until you hate yourself. But I thought he was going to say something. But it's just fun. And it's a magical, unique experience that everyone needs to experience. So, yeah. Shout out to number 5.
Man, I wish I liked Celeste. I really did.
I do too.
For me, that game is basically just the music. Everything else I didn't really care for.
Oh yeah, the music's great too.
Yeah, the music it's the best music of the year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have won.
Ben.
Coming in at number 5 for me is a fighting game that I did not expect to love, a fighting game that I had no connection to, a fighting game that was premiered at EVO of 2017. That was like, well, we're doing this? Okay. And out of the 2 big fighting games that came out this year, one I thought I was going to love, and I already mentioned that one already. But number 5 is
SNK Heroines
Cross Tag Battle.
Oh.
Yeah, this... I kind of bought this game like as a lark when I got it. I was like, well, let's just try it. Marvel's not always playing Marvel anymore. I can't get my tag action anymore right now because I haven't gotten fighters at this point. But little did I know I would become infatuated with this game. It's just so much fun. It does what Dragon Ball FighterZ doesn't do. It still maintains that very simplistic, minimalistic combat system, but if you're a player who wants more options, it's so much more options you can do in terms of crazy combos, defensive options, tags, extending combos. It's deeper than most people thought it was. And if you've seen any kind of high level tournament play, you're in for some crazy stuff that's only seen in like a versus sort of tag kind of game. Each of the characters are unique and different. Yes, some of the sprites are more used, but to me, this is kind of like the anime version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, where a lot of that game was basically just old sprites thrown in the same game. That's why they had so many characters. The DLC was great. It's just so crazy. My only regret is I didn't play it as much as I wish I should have. But whether I was winning, whether I was losing, whether I was getting perfect, it didn't matter. When I booted up that game and I plugged it into my Switch, I played it and I had fun. I found my mains. I found multiple characters to play with. and it took over my possession, my love of Street Fighter for a while, and it still does. I still play it from time to time, but another fighting game currently has my current attention. But yeah, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, a surprise I did not expect to love. At number 5.
How many Gokus are in there?
None, thankfully.
So my number 5 is a little game known as The Missing. Swery's new game. It's not the dog game or the cat game. It's the 2D side-scrolling maim yourself and throw your body parts at things game. This came out of nowhere. It's like, so I didn't have a lot of games that I played this year, but I did buy some. And I was just playing Destiny. I was like, you know what? I should really play some other stuff to get a feel for some games to put on my list. And this one really surprised me with its style, its music, its tone and feel, the themes that it delves into, self-harm and identification. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. Yeah, I haven't finished it yet. I've heard some crazy stuff about the ending. I like the... it's a different way to tackle puzzles. I could literally say this is a very unique game also. Like, I could say I've never, chopped my leg off to get into another part of the next stage area, or, decapitate myself to get into the next area, or give myself a concussion or break my neck to get into the next area of a game. It's really messed up and dark, which I'm really attracted to, because, I don't know, I grew up as a dark person, I guess. But
I grew up a dark person too.
Yeah. But yeah, The Missing really spoke to me. I like games that delve into dark themes that a lot of people don't really like to talk about. And the story in it is great. Number 5. The other games on this list are bigger in scope, ahead of The Missing, or bigger in scope. Just did a whole lot more with the genre than I thought could be possible. But yeah, Missing's great. Everyone should check that out. So number 4, Low.
Okay. Number 4 is... You're gonna like this one, Thomas. Number 4 for me is Destiny 2 Forsaken.
Yes, I made it. I made it on the. I made you put it on the list.
Okay, so it's because
how far did you even get into it, anyway?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I haven't gotten that far into it. I'm mostly just kind of wandering around, just shooting shit, because that's just what I do when I play Destiny 2. But okay, so the reason I specifically say Forsaken is because when I first played Destiny 2, I don't know. I didn't play Destiny 1 really at all, aside from the beta. So really all I was expecting was a Destiny game on PC, which is exactly what I ended up getting. So initially when I was going through the campaign and stuff, the original story, I think it was called the Red War or something like that, with the
Red War.
With the Marshmallow Man, Gaul, the Michelin Man. But so I went through the campaign and I was like, okay, cool. That was a story. It was that happened. Whatever. So then I eventually ended up playing through Curse of Osiris and Warmind, and those just kind of felt like, I don't know, they were cool. They were cool missions and stuff like that. But they just kind of felt like just sort of, if Destiny were an anime, they'd be filler episodes, for lack of a better term. I don't know, for me anyways. But so when I finally played Forsaken, and it was really, for me, it was that first mission that got you into it before all the shit happens, and then it's just oh, well, now this is kind of turning into a whole revenge story kind of deal. Just the whole I don't know. I just really liked how really well scripted out everything was, just in the mission, just how everything went down, and just you have these this new kind of twist on the Fallen that you have to fight against, and you have all these badass dudes that
the Scorn.
The Scorn, that's what they are. So I guess from a lore aspect, I guess they're Fallen who have been, they had a pair of their arms removed or something, but I guess some of these guys grew them back or something. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not exactly
tainted by the ether. They've been they're Scorn that are Fallen that got really fucked up and changed. They either
Okay,
corrupt.
so they do look a bit different from your standard Fallen. They're like a little bit.
They act different too.
Bulkier. Yeah. Different animations and stuff. So they're there's more fun stuff to shoot at. So, and then but yeah. So yeah, just for that reason, it just Destiny Forsaken. This just kind of got me. So it's just like, okay, this is just after getting into Forsaken, I'm just like, okay, Destiny, like I see you, whatever, cool.
Yeah, I got you the game because I know like Justin's like tapped out, he's done. That's what I bought him maybe the game too. But I bought you the game.
I just nothing has convinced me yet.
You're done.
There's bows.
I think you're done.
I'm probably done.
I'm just saving you the trouble. But for though, like I asked them, like, would you be interested in the game if you get it? And I said, just play the story stuff. Like, you don't have to do any of the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Because like the story stuff of Forsaken is really damn good. And
I like story stuff and like shooters and stuff like that too. So that's what really it hooked me. Like that first mission, especially like I said, it was just so.
You're probably at the point where you have to like fight all the different bosses now, and all of them are different, and they have their own style of fighting them and everything. Like it's cool, man.
And I just got the bow too, and I was like, okay, this is neat. I don't really like use it that much, but if I want to like switch things up, I'll like swap it out.
They're good for taking down shields.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Maybe I'll just use them for that stuff. Then. Cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's Destiny. It's cool. It's a fun game. The shooting mechanics are solid. Some of the best shooting mechanics I've experienced in almost any shooter and just stuff like that. You got your little floaty jumps and your space magic and stuff. So yeah. So Forsaken, and I don't know if you've never played Destiny before. Destiny 2 Forsaken's a good place to start because I think it comes with all of the. You get all the DLC now.
If you buy Forsaken, you should get the first game in the DLC.
Okay,
kind of like what they did with Taken King.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is this like the last like big DLC for Destiny 2, or is there more to come, or...
Right now we have the annual pass going on that goes on until so we had winter, spring. Yeah, this goes until the summer, and they probably will have another big thing. And okay. I'm expecting that to be the Dreadnought ship from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna go back there.
The triangles?
No, those triangles are completely unknown, and no one knows what the hell they are. And people are expecting that to be like the ultimate form of the darkness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was from the first game, right?
And that's like 3 DLCs away, like for what I'm thinking. There's a thing that I saw and I noticed. I'm like, oh shit, guys! And like I started freaking out. I went to like my my Destiny like friend group. We're all talking about it. I'm like, oh my god, just figure this out. Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh shit. So yeah. Anyways, I'll talk more about that game later. You guys will know what that is.
Just as far as just last little note on Destiny 2, just as I think from this point on, if they just focus more just on like their story stuff and expanding like on the lore and just throwing that into like the missions and things, like then they have nowhere to go but up from here.
That's what they tried to do with Osiris and that, but it just didn't play. Like it didn't hold people over in the playing aspect.
Osiris felt kind of repetitive to me because of you
get to learn all about Osiris and Saint 14 and all that shit, but like it was just way too like repetitive. Like the forest stuff was not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't ride your sparrow, so like it felt limited in mobility.
Right.
It's just the way it played was bad. The story stuff was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways. I could talk to you forever about Destiny.
Maybe, we'll have to save this for another day.
Yes. Justin, we're doing 4 now.
Yeah, sorry, I blacked out what you guys were talking about. Destiny.
Yep.
Yeah, my number 4 is the Mega Man X Collection. I know.
Nice.
I know. More games that didn't actually come out this year. But
hey,
shut up.
I put the anniversary collection at the end, so I feel you, homie.
The anniversary collection didn't come out this year, though.
Yeah, yes, it did.
Where?
The X one.
The Street Fighter. He's talking about Street Fighter.
Oh, the Street Fighter 30th edition.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the Mega Man anniversary. Never mind. All right.
No. Boys.
Yeah. So Mega Man X Collection, it's really good. The reason it's on this list specifically is because I beat, I should say, 7 Mega Man X games in like 3 weeks or something like that. I tried to go for 8, but honestly, I got so burnt out after the first 7, especially number 7, which was awful, that I didn't feel like beating 8. Like, it was way better. I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. So yeah, I beat 7 X Games in 3 weeks, and I think that's worthy of a place on this list because I love that series so much. And part of why I was so excited about Mega Man 11 is they said that the continuation of the Mega Man X series was dependent on the sales of Mega Man 11, which I hate when companies do that. Like, hold a series ransom to try and drum up sales.
True, though. Like, it's true.
Yeah, I know. But it's still, like, they're doing that right now with No More Heroes 3 and the Travis Strikes Back game or whatever.
Good luck.
Which is not a real No More Heroes game, but they're still saying, like, if you want a real No More Heroes game, buy this weird indie spinoff. And it's things like that. It's like Mega Man X and Mega Man really aren't the same series. Like, different people like them differently. I like Mega Man X way more than I like the original Mega Man. Why would they hold one ransom with the other? But that's beside the point. This is Game of the Year. So yeah, it was really refreshing going back and playing those games again. I mean, they weren't changed at all, really. Like, there was achievements, which is cool, I guess, or whatever Switch calls achievements. But they were like in-game versions. But it was just like, it was fun because I hadn't really played through 5 or 6 before, and I'd never even touched 7. So it was kind of cool. Like, I was playing those for the first time. They're not good. I did a whole video on why Mega Man X5 sucks, but just having that experience for the first time was refreshing, and seeing like the degradation of the series over time was sad but interesting in a cool way, especially like so close together like that. Like, that's kind of the cool thing about a collection is you see how a series changes with each entry. And so going from one to the next was a little bit of whiplash with like being super powered and then not again. But it also goes to show like how sometimes less is more with games like that. Because the more complicated ones I didn't think were as good. Like Mega Man X3, for example. So yeah, I thought it was worthy of a shout out because, I mean, that series hasn't gotten any love in a long time since Mega Man X8, basically.
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. So if I want to put it on my Game of the Year's list, darn it, I'm going to. It's been 15 years.
Also, it's worth it for the X challenge alone, just what that mode it brings.
True. That stuff is all new. And like the boss rushes with like two bosses together. Like, there's some really cool stuff in there that's new to this collection. I didn't touch that stuff, but it seemed really cool.
Oh yeah, it's fun. I want to stream it and just get destroyed.
Yeah. But like I said, by that time I was burnt out, so I didn't bother. But
okay.
Yeah, that's my number 4.
Ben.
Coming in at number 4 is the only RPG on my list for this year, and is a game that I wasn't sure I was going to like when I first started it, but I fell in love towards the end because of its storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Octopath Traveler, the sort of big RPG game that sort of made Kotaku articles write, "Are RPGs back?" But no, for real, this game was amazing. Of course, I've already talked to death about its amazing use of sprite work mixed with its sort of playwright aesthetics. Its music is so beautiful. Like, it only rivals Celeste to how amazing this music is. I have a YouTube playlist that I'll listen to, whether it's the Serene Forest or the epic battle scenes, or just casual conversation scenes. It's just all amazing, and it was such a fresh take on the RPG genre for me because, and while I wasn't sure how to feel about it at first, I was. In terms of it not being like a complete overall narrative, but instead 8 individual stories that kind of had loose connecting threads between them, or some of them really deep connecting threads. I found it refreshing. It found me wanting to look more into the world. It made me care about these characters more so than I probably would have done if they were all part of like one party and you maybe got experience with the warrior most, with Ulberich, or the dancer or Primrose, But here I got to invest time to every single one of them. In the post game, and again, the beautiful part is once you start seeing those threads connect, it kind of makes the world richer in a way, but it doesn't feel contrived. You can get what you want out of it. It's not the perfect game. I don't like that side quests don't give you experience points, but I love it. I hope this means like how well it sold, because it sold really well. That Square Enix will do more with different characters, like just call it Octopath Traveler 2 or whatever, and just do Final Fantasy of it. Just do different characters, a different lore, different world. Just do it. I want more of this game, more of this type of storytelling. Beautiful, beautiful game. I want to own the soundtrack. I wish I bought the collector's edition. I want to go back in time. I want to play it again. I want to play it again. That's my number 4.
Cool. My number 4, and I had this at 5, but during the recording I switched it. It's Forza Horizon 4, the game that changed the second most game, or whatever you want to say, that changed my life. I bought a steering wheel for this game, so now my setup is completely busted. I wouldn't have played this game if I didn't have Game Pass, that's for sure. I didn't buy it, I had Game Pass, I played it that way. I initially played it on the PC. Now I'm playing it on my Xbox because I have a 4K TV now. So I could take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And also, I am horrible with the driving wheel. I'm way better with a regular gamepad. But yeah, they've done a lot for Forza, especially Forza Horizon 4, or Forza Horizon. The change with the seasons, it really changed a lot of the way you could play the game, because before you would just stick with like 1 or 2 or 3 different cars to use, like one for off-road, one for on-road, and one for performance or whatever, drag racing or whatever, or drifting rather. This one, it kind of forces you to change up your car. Also, the way you level up in the game is based on the car. So each car has their own like skill tree. So you kind of want to test each one out and level it up in a certain way. I didn't really think Forza this one really took me by surprise, because I didn't think about it for a while until like literally last night. I bought a 4K TV and I plugged in and I was like, oh, I'm playing God of War. I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't have a 4K PlayStation up here. It's downstairs for the VR. Let me plug in my Xbox. And I started playing Forza. I'm like, holy shit, this game looks friggin' amazing. It's absolutely stunning. There's new DLC for it that I want to check out. I was racing 1940, 1950 like muscle cars in the snow off-road. And we were going at like 50 to like 80 kilometers per hour on this track. And I was just thinking, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done in a racing game. It's badass.
Sounds legit.
It's fucking awesome. So then I just drove around in this like muscle car that I painted as a taxi for a while. It's a fun-ass game. And it's one of the games that made me like driving games. Like I like 3, but before that, I hated driving games. Like it was like,
really, if
you asked me, like 2 or 3 years ago, what games I hated the most, it would be driving and fighting games. And
really,
now in this, I have completely changed my view on these type of games. I would put Burnout up here, but Burnout's already been released, so I didn't want to put that on my list. Yeah, Burnout Paradise, but yeah. Forza Horizon 4, fantastic game, changed my life. For the better, who knows? So Low, number 3.
All right, so number 3. It's funny that you mentioned that your last game kind of changed your perspective on like a certain genre, because one genre that I can't stand, partially because I can't go anywhere without seeing a game in this genre, is the whole roguelike / roguelite genre. And I'm just like, I'm so tired of these games. Like, people seem to stop making games like this. And then all of a sudden, one fateful evening, the evening of the Game Awards, I won a copy of Dead Cells.
Yes.
So the way it worked was, if you were to watch the stream within the Steam app, you had a chance to win whatever game. They're like, hey, you won this game, it's in your library now. I was like, okay, cool. So I jumped into it, I started playing a little bit, and this is a really fun game. I like it a lot. Like, I don't really even mind a lot of the time that it's a roguelike, because there are some roguelikes that are really like more that are like really like rogue style, where like you just lose everything. You just start over from the beginning.
I see.
So, so for me, like if you have something, just anything that sort of just carries over, like some sort of progression, anything like that, then you're more likely to catch my attention. And Dead Cells is one of those things that has it in the form of the weapons that you can collect, and just there are also other various sort of like permanent upgrades. You can upgrade like your health flask sort of thing. And one thing that I will say that I wish you were able to do in this game was be able to choose your loadout, because whenever you start over, you just start out with like the starting gear. It's like whatever.
You can level that up though. You can get it. You can make it different.
But it's just kind of like a random sort of draw, though, right? You can't like choose like a specific like I want like this weapon that I've like leveled up and like has all these bonuses and these perks and stuff.
Yeah,
but
I think I would be on board with you. Like if they made it so that it's one of the items that you've already picked up but not powered up. Like a base level of that version of that weapon that you've already picked up.
That could be cool too. Yeah,
yeah. Like that would make it a lot better in my perspective.
Yeah, because I mean, it's one thing. Because it's funny. Because one thing I just got really good with that starter sword too. Is the thing as a result, because I kept dying so many damn times.
Yeah, man. And you ever pick the shield, or did you always go bow and sword?
I usually just go bow and sword.
Yeah,
I usually just like to duck around, dive around, stuff like that. And there's just lots of cool neat little features and stuff. Like if you like hit certain walls, like you can get food. It'll like revive your life. It's like, oh, cool. I didn't even like. So I kind of like little.
I didn't even know about that.
Really, it's funny because like it just developed this kind of like little ritual for me now. I'll just like if I see a wall, I'm like I'll just swing at it.
Oh man, I should do that. God damn it.
And then also, I don't know if you noticed this either, but if you have a closed door, you can either like open the door or you can smash the door.
Oh yeah, I always smash the door.
Stun, yeah, I always smash the door, stun whoever's on the other side. That's always really cool. Do a little combo thing, but it's a really cool
you can also
game.
do like a ground pound, like drop from the ceiling, smash down.
Oh yeah. If you, fun fact, if you do a little ground pound, if you do it straight down into spikes, because I did that once.
Oh shit.
There's an achievement for that. The achievement, I believe it's called "We've All Been There."
Oh wow.
So, if you're an achievement hunter, there's one for you. So, but yeah, I mean, the combat's really nice. It's smooth and
dude,
it's varied just because of all the different weapons you can pick up, all the different little weapons and upgrades. You have bombs and traps and little like turret things you can set down, and bows and
you know what like each item that you pick up what it does. Which is what I hate in other roguelikes. Like you pick up an item, you don't know what it does. It's like, well, great. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about this. It just lists out everything that it has, like the little bonuses, like this has bleeding damage, or like this will do poison damage, this will do fire, whatever, blah blah blah, whatever. But it's a great game, and it's one thing that I like about this is that whether you're the person who likes to do like your speed run kind of things, like get through shit as quick as possible, or if you're someone who likes to explore. The game kind of caters to both playstyles, because with each area, once you get to the next area, there's a door. It's a time door. If you get to it in time, there's a whole bunch of cool shit behind that door.
Dude, okay, so like, I was gonna get to this game and talk about it a lot, to where it is on my list. But let's just talk about it now. I did that last night. Like I usually don't speedrun these things, so I was like, I saw the 2-minute thing. Let me check that out. I got to the door. Holy shit! There's so much stuff for you to get, and you can get it more than just clearing out a level. So like it incentivizes you to actually go and do the things that you probably wouldn't do like otherwise.
Exactly.
Oh my
I'm not a speedrunner type either,
exactly.
And it just got me. It got me like gotta go fast, gotta do it. Like gotta run through this. And the cool thing about this, another cool thing that's part of the mechanics of the game is when you kill an enemy, you get a speed boost. So you kill an enemy, you start moving faster. So it's
really?
just
I
like
didn't know that.
you gotta get you get a nice little rhythm going. So yeah, just take a look next time. He kind of like does like even your running animation changes a little bit. So
nice.
You kind of get into like a little rhythm. So it's like kill an enemy, like dash through. And so, sometimes I don't even kill all the enemies. At first I was just like, this combat's so awesome. I want to kill everything I see. Then after a while I was like, okay, I want to get through this level faster so I can see what the hell is behind that door.
Enemies don't damage you on touch, which is great. You can just run right by them.
Yes, that is a very nice thing. I hate when enemies damage you on touch. That is such bullshit.
Yeah, I like the upgrade system to it. So like you get cells that you could put towards upgrading your more permanent stats, or you can upgrade it towards getting an item for that run. And so if you die a couple times over, you're building your way to better gear all the time. Yeah, this, and again, going back to the way it plays, this is probably the best playing game I've ever played, honestly. Just because everything is so fluid, you can go into stuff, cancel out of moves. It's fantastic, man. Like I know you guys, like Justin and Ben, you guys hate this kind of stuff. I wholeheartedly recommend one of you guys try this out. Maybe Ben on Switch might be better, but goddamn, this is a fucking amazing playing game.
One thing I will say, like, it takes quite a bit to make me look at like a roguelike game and be like, oh, okay, I'll try this out. And the last game to do that was 20XX, and that was just purely based on the gameplay. It was that Mega Man X style gameplay. You can just like run through these stages, like, yeah, cool. And you know, one thing that this and 20XX share is that the stages they're kind of like randomly generated to a sense. So sometimes you'll kind of run into some weirdness with the level generation. Like you'll go like through like there's all these like this kind of like cave like system, and you're like, it's a dead end. There's like nothing, like absolutely nothing at the end of this, like just this whole big long home. Like, dude, I could have gone through like the level and gotten the time door.
Like you said, there's secrets like everywhere. Like there's parts of this game where like, because you don't know if that dead end's a dead end or a secret area. So I found some secrets like where you just crawl through stuff or you slide through stuff. And you know the beginning room? If you go over to the left and you jump up a little bit and then slide under, there's a secret blueprint there. I'm like, what? I didn't even know this. Like, this game's
such
awesome.
a cool game.
Yeah.
Cool game.
And I think like each level or each stage or world or whatever has its own thing to pick up to advance the game. So like in stage 2, there's like a vine grower. So you use it to you pet this like bush or whatever, and it shoots up vines.
Yeah. That's another thing I totally forgot about. Those little permanent upgrades that will just expand your exploration. So it'll just expand even more just on the whole, if you're one of those people who likes to explore the crap out of every map, you know?
Yeah. So like there's like the statue in the first level that I'm rubbing. I'm like, what the fuck does this do? I'm like, it just like, the statue like makes a face. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute, whatever. But I guess that later on you can get something from that when you get the upgrade for it.
Yeah. And there's also these weird little cinematic things that happen too. Like you'll like come across like some prisoner in some cell. There'll be some dialogue, or like you'll come across like a room and explore, just like inspect stuff. So that little touches like that are cool because it's like, oh, some interesting stuff. It kind of breaks up the gameplay a little bit, but yeah, it's like I was saying before. It's just this kind of changed my perspective on like that kind of rogue style sort of gameplay because they're doing enough to like make it not like, hey, fuck you died, start over.
Also, it's just fun to play. Like, I don't even mind starting over. I'm just like, hell yeah, let's go kill some more stuff.
The nice thing about this game, too, is if you just quit, just wherever you are, you start the game back up, you'll just pick up right back up where you started.
Wow, holy shit.
You just pick up right up where you left off.
That's
and it's
awesome.
just like, wow. You can literally just pick up and play this game whenever. So if you're, like, stressed out, like, halfway through a run, just like, okay, whatever, just pause or just whatever, quit, save and quit. Come back to it later. I was like, oh, holy crap! I didn't realize that was a thing until I was like, wait, this isn't the starting area. Oh crap! This is where I was when I quit last time. Neat.
This is the ideal version of roguelikes.
I would have to say so. Yeah, definitely. That's my game, Dead Cells.
Dead Cells, great, man. It's awesome. So, Justin, where are you on? Where were we on? Number 3 or 4?
Number 3.
3. Okay.
I mean, you were on number 4 for a while, or was that your number 3? I don't even know anymore.
That was number 3.
Okay, cool. So I actually just switched this, but my number 3 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Nice.
Nice. This is high because honestly, like I'm not usually like I love Smash Bros. I mean, it's it's basically a Nintendo fanboy fighter game. I love that. But I'm not usually like super into them. I'll play like the story mode or the single player mode to unlock all the characters, whatever that is. Obviously, Brawl had the controversial Subspace Emissary, which I loved, by the way. No shame.
Me too.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Very.
But after that, like after I get all the characters and everything unlocked, I kind of just play it whenever friends come over and stuff. This one has been kind of unique. And that's why it's so high on the list, because like I'm actually really into it. Like I'm still not that good at it, but I think because there was so many characters to unlock, for one, it got me into the single player stuff way more than it usually does. And also World of Light is super good. Like, I mean, it is essentially just, normal battles with like kind of creatively designed combatants.
Modifiers.
Yeah. Like the spirits are just characters in the game, but with like cool modifiers. But the attention to detail there and like the kind of quality and quantity that they've managed to put into the game is just really charming in a way. And like, you'll be just going around on the map in World of Light and you'll run into something and you're like, oh man, I love that character. And then you'll have the battle and you're like, that felt like that character. Like I wasn't fighting them, but that felt like that character. That's really cool. And so I actually feel like I'm getting better at this one than I usually do at Smash Bros. Because I'm actually invested in the characters and the grind to get better at it. I have more incentive to do that. I played it with some friends at New Year's, and there's still some weird stuff. Like for some reason, the way Switch recognizes controllers, it's not built for 8 players, even though Smash allows 8 players. So like there was something weird where like each Joy-Con was considered a controller. So if you have like we had I think 3 pairs of Joy-Cons, and then 2 Pro controllers, and that's all it would allow. So it was 5 players, but 8 total controllers, which is the max the Switch will recognize. So like unless you have a mix of like GameCube controllers and Pro controllers, you can't play 8 players.
Oh, what?
So I had 6 people over that were all wanting to play, and we could only get 5 max in. Whether it was Joy-Con and GameCube controllers or Joy-Con and Pro controllers, because the GameCube controller adapter uses 2 USB plugins. So I couldn't actually plug in my Pro controller with the GameCube controllers because it's also USB. So just quirky little things like that. But also like I think I enjoy the single player stuff more. Like I really like one-on-one. I think the one-on-one online stuff is super solid. But I was playing, like I said, with 4 other people, and I was just getting wrecked because it's almost too chaotic now.
Yeah.
Like there's so many items, and like the stages are bigger, and you get 5 people in there, and it kind of starts to zoom out to so that everyone's on the same screen. And I kept losing track of where I was. And it was just items and assist trophies and everything everywhere. I kind of just liked either single player, like one-on-one or one versus like an army, or the just like multiplayer one-on-one, local or online battles, which is really not what Smash Bros. Is built for. But like I think that's a testament to how much I enjoy the game itself, that I prefer to just play it by myself. It's a fighting like party game that I prefer to play by myself. Like that's crazy. But they've made the single player content so good this time. So yeah, I mean I could say a lot more things about this game, but I think we've done that plenty between me and Ben. So yeah, that's why Smash Bros. Is my number 3, which I wouldn't have expected before this.
Nice.
Ben.
And we're going to continue that Smash Ultimate talk because my number 3 is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. To me, I don't see this as just as a game that's a celebration of Nintendo. This is a game that's a celebration of video games over the past 30 to 35 years. Everybody is here. The tagline is true. Everybody is here. This is the greatest fighting game roster of all time. And then the little touches of love, as Justin mentioned, in World of Light, or just the spirit stuff where they try to make it as close to you fighting that character if you're not fighting that character. The arcade modes where each mode is tailor made to that character. I said this when we talked about it, but Ryu. Instead of it being a typical percentage battle, it's a stamina battle, and you basically play characters that are similar to Street Fighter. And you have the old Street Fighter music, and Ken teams up with you in dramatic battle at the end. Like just little love letters like that. It's such a great game, such a phenomenal game. It is it's fast, it's kinetic, it's amazing. 1-on-1 is great. 4-on-4 it's great. 8-on-8 it's great. It's just a good game. And for a game as big as it is, it doesn't feel that imbalanced. Like every character feels viable, and that's insane. That's insane, man. I'm telling you this. It's an amazing achievement. Like I know a lot of people were like, oh, Nintendo had it down this year, and then they fucking hit that smash button, and then that was it. Case called a slam dunk. And in the other year, Smash would have been number one for me. But there were two other games that were above it that I'll get to momentarily once we get to that circle again. But
I'd probably agree with that. Yeah.
My God, this was like, again, I think what was it, like in April? We heard about this in April that a new one was coming out, and then of course, you know, and then the lead up, and now we got fucking Joker from Persona 5 is coming in a few months, which is just crazy. Like, who's gonna, like, literally, we don't know. The next year of Smash Brothers is gonna be amazing. I love this game. I'm glad I bought it. It's so amazing. It's great. It's great. So many dream matchups have come true. I love it. Number 3, baby.
Nice.
And my number 3 is Red Dead Redemption 2, the game that took me away from Destiny for 3 weeks.
Wow. That's only number 3.
3 whole weeks. Wow.
Yeah. I've talked about Red Dead Redemption 2 before on the show. But the reason I have it so high is mainly because of the story and the protagonist of Arthur. Like, I think Arthur is the best video game protagonist ever made. It's a better game than the first one. I like the shooting mechanics in it, actually. Some people still have problems with it, and it didn't really change a whole lot other than it automatically aims at the body, you move up and shoot the head. But it correlates it with the guns at the time. So, like, you know how guns had the lever that you had to use? So in order to use your gun, you have to shoot it, and then you have to flip it again. But you do that by relocking with the L2, or you press R2 again. So I like that because it brings you into that world. And who doesn't like a good Winchester gun? Come on.
Oh, Winchester's so awesome. It's so fun to shoot.
It also got me into like role playing the character. Like, I was Arthur. Arthur wasn't me. So like I thought, oh, Arthur Morgan would do this in this scenario or this. And I always had him like wearing a mustache because I thought, you know what, my cowboy, he's not gonna have a beard the whole time like all these other chumps. He's gonna be a sophisticated man with a badass mustache. Yeah, sometimes I would just walk around the cities that I was in. Like, I would just walk around and talk to some of the people, do some of the side quests. I just walk into a bar, take a shot, and people are like, "Ah, you're one of those rural guys, eh?" And then I try and talk shit to me, and I tell them to fuck off and stuff. Like, there is stuff in that game that is very controversial, but I think it adds to the immersiveness to it. And that might turn off a lot of people, but the immersiveness to the game, the story it tells, the prologue. I kind of want to talk about the prologue a bit. So Ben, if you don't want to listen, cover your ears for like 2 minutes.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, so after
I stopped listening, so you're good.
So when you take your last ride to camp, your Arthur is thinking about all the things that have happened in the game, and he's dying from TB, tuberculosis. And the whole point, I think I've talked about this before, he's trying to make good. He's trying to make good on what he's done. This is if you play the good way. I don't know what happens if you play the bad way. I've heard there's some things that are different and not as wholesome and like honorable. But your Arthur is thinking about all the things that he's done and all the shitty things he's done and all the good things he's done. And so you're riding into camp. Everything has gone to shit. Everyone's thinking you're betraying them because you've realized that Dutch has lost his goddamn mind and he doesn't have a plan to help everyone out. Like, they're on the run from the Pinkertons, and it ends in a shootout on top of a mountain, and you help John get away. And then in the prologue, you play as John Marston, and you're with his kid and his wife, and they're trying to find like a new family for like a new way of life for themselves. And so John is working on this other farm for this other guy. He's making up his whole backstory so he can work there, and he saves up enough money. He's trying to save up enough money to get his own house. Something happens where John has to go back to his old ways of shooting people. His wife doesn't like that, but even though it's for the good of the goddamn farm, she took the kid with her and left. And so John decides, you know what, I need to take a loan out of the bank. I need to build up my farm. And he tries to win her back. And there's gameplay parts to it where you're building the house from the first game. It's so cool. You're building the house from the first game. And,
wow.
And so like he wins her back and everything. And then there's like other side missions to it where you go into Austin and you recognize all the different stuff from the first game, like
wow.
You know that gorge or whatever from the first game, like it's one of the first missions. I really hate that gorge, but like I remembered it. I'm like, oh my god, this is the gorge. Like I'm riding through it, and I'm getting goosebumps. I'm like going into Armadillo. I'm like, oh my god, this is Armadillo. So I start walking out.
That's crazy.
Yes, it's the whole first game is in this game basically, except for Mexico. Like it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like the prologue really sold it on me.
That's some like fucking hey, you get to go back to Kanto and when you played Pokemon Gold and Silver back in the day. That's what this is right here. Hey, you get to go back there now, and it looks slightly different.
Yeah, it's awesome, man, and I kind of want to play it again, but it's bad, or maybe just play it again because I love that game and that story and everything about it. But yeah, it doesn't break the top two. I'll just say number 2 for me is Dead Cells. I've already talked about that with Lo. Like, again, I said that's the best goddamn playing game I've ever played. And I need to get back to it. I kind of want to get it on Switch just so I can have it on the airplane when I go to Vegas. But
it's not bad on Switch.
I hear it's actually not that good on Switch. Like, it's got performance issues.
Really?
I don't know if they've updated it since then, but that's what I've heard when it first came out.
Oh, by the way, I probably would have started crying if I had bought Red Dead this year and I got to that point where they're building a house because of what happens to John in Red Dead.
Yeah, exactly. You're thinking
I probably would have started crying. I'm like, you're building.
Stop, John! You're building your murder house.
No. You're a good man, John. You're a good man.
Yeah. It's amazing. I love Red Dead. It's great. There's supposed to be story and DLC or something coming out for that, so I want to check that out. Anyways, number 2, Lo.
All right, number 2. Number 2 is number 2. number 2 got in there right at the end of the year, and because it was actually a gift for my birthday from Justin. Thanks, buddy. And the game I'm talking about is Final Fantasy 15. So I will admit I have not spent a ton of time in this game, and the time that I have spent has been either just kind of wandering around aimlessly or just fighting shit. And both of those have been incredibly fun. Part of the reason why just running around aimlessly has been so fun is just because of the little interactions between you and your party members, your homies and stuff, and it's just really cool because it just kind of, because Final Fantasy it's one of those games for me. It's just kind of like whenever my old ass starts thinking about the good old days of games and stuff, back in the simpler times, I always think about Final Fantasy, like more particularly Final Fantasy VI. And when I was playing through those games back in the day, I would always kind of think about like, well, I wonder what kind of conversations like the party members would have with themselves, like while you're running around and fighting monsters and finding treasures and caves and shit and stuff like that. And now now you can experience just that with this game, and it's just one of the things that's really cool and just really minor thing, but the fact that Prompto takes pictures as they're playing the game is really nice because it's one less thing I have to worry about when I'm playing games, because he takes some pretty good screenshots, I must say. So
it's fun, like when you go to bed, like to choose the pictures you want to save and stuff. I think that's a really cool element.
It's a really awesome feature. I was just like, wow, they just kind of they kind of just thought about like there's just those really nice little touches like that just kind of makes you think, wow, they really put a lot of thought into this game. I hear mixed stories on like the story, how it's not super fleshed out or anything like that, but for me, that's not necessarily what I'm really focusing on with this particular game. It's more about like the journey, like with my friends and like running around and fighting monsters and stuff. And the combat's really fun, and it's just like really just like, yeah, it's like really fun. You can just like run around and stuff like that, and it's really cool. And just randomly, I was just kind of wandering around the starting area, and I found some guy that was in a penguin suit, and it was like, oh, you can design your avatar or whatever which I assume is the co-op mode. And after I was done designing him, like it replaced Noctis with that character I just designed. I was like, what? This is weird. This is really strange. And then like a bunch of dialogue boxes popped up. I was like, oh well, everyone's gonna act like you look like this the whole time or whatever. But just kind of like sort of like covering and it's like kind of like making it like sort of canon in a way. But it was just really strange. But like, it was also kind of cool that you can just kind of have like a custom avatar and play through the whole game. It's kind of weird when it like cuts to actual cutscenes with actual Noctis because it was funny because I did that and so obviously I made the character look like me, so it's like some handsome looking Final Fantasy black dude, right?
What, dreadlocks?
So then right after that, yeah, well no, he just has just kind of shorter hair. They don't have dreadlocks in this.
That's why it's not number one, because it has no dreadlocks.
So I did this, and then I'm like, oh cool, I have a custom avatar. But then I did some story things, and I went to like a cutscene where Noctis was like a kid, and then I was just like, yes, when I was a young white boy, I remember that. I remember back in the day. It was just so jarring and weird. But the fact that it's in there is cool. It's just I after that I just changed it back so to where it was just normal. So I'm like, okay, we'll just do it like this. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with the game so far, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Just kind of getting through it, and especially going through all the DLC because the Windows edition came with all the DLC that's been released, which is super neat. And yeah, and thanks again, Justin, for gifting that to me. I'm having so much fun with it, and like
Good.
I said,
I thought you'd like it.
Yeah, like I said, it just kind of reminds me of just all like the good times that I used to have, like playing Final Fantasy, just grinding through, the maps and things like that, discovering shit, and yeah, super fun. So that's my.
I'm confused by your character customization stuff. I didn't know you could do that outside of the multiplayer mode. So
I didn't know either.
Like you're all some costumes. Like I remember there was like a free DLC thing that I downloaded for like a ramen costume where he like has like the ramen bowl on his head or whatever, and like it's blatant
Nice.
product placement. That's the only thing I know that's like that.
It was the weirdest thing. I was like, what's this penguin dude doing here? And then they sort of put me into this customization screen, and I did it. And then there was like this weird thing happened, and then all of a sudden I'm playing as my character I just designed. I'm like, all right, this is weird. So I changed it back after that because it was just. I'll look into that more later, but
yeah, I just know a few like I said, a few little outfits and things that are still Noctis, but in a in a different shirt or whatever.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Maybe the Windows edition was different. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. Oh, there's mod support too, so that's cool.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. I think we've talked about that before, like the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Mod.
There's a Sora mod too.
Yeah.
That's weird.
They have Gordon Freeman.
That's actually in the game though.
Yeah. Justin.
Number 2. Yeah. So we're actually back on track because my number 4 was the one I skipped. So yeah, my number 2 is God of War on PS4. So yes, Dad Boy. So I actually, like I said, I originally had this and Smash Bros. Flipped, but the more I thought about it, the more God of War is just a very unique, like, special game in a way that, I mean, as much as I love Smash Bros., it can't compare. I've heard a lot of people talk about God of War lately and how like it's their game of the year and everything like that. And I think any other year with like this same list of games coming out minus one, this would have been my game of the year because I used to love God of War. Like when it first came out on was it PS2?
Yep.
Yes.
PS2. I played 1 and 2 like crazy. I never played the PSP ones originally because I didn't have. Well, I had a PSP, but I didn't have the games on PSP. And then I got the collection of them all on PS3, and I played the. I didn't replay the one and 2 for some reason, but I played the 2 PSP ones and beat those also. Like I've beaten every God of War game except 3. I didn't really like 3. I don't know, something about the weird, like the change in perspective and like trying to make it more epic, but still it kind of had that same like engine feel of 1 and 2, just like more cinematic. It didn't work for me. I even tried to play it again recently on when it was free on PlayStation Plus, and it still just didn't work for me. Partially because the graphics broke, but also like after playing this new one, I couldn't go back to that old style.
It's tough,
but
man.
I love,
I I was just saying, yeah, it's tough after playing the new one.
Yeah.
It's tough to go back to those older ones because I'm trying.
Right.
And, yeesh.
It's like, they're great. Like the whole
Yeah.
idea of like being this character that's like, you know, killing gods and everything, like actual mythological gods that everyone knows, like Zeus and things like that. Great. I love mythology and it's great. I love Norse mythology probably the most.
Nice.
I took a mythology class in college that was all focused on Norse mythology, and like it went over like the idea of Ragnarok and everything, which is why Thor Ragnarok made me so mad. Don't like that movie.
Oh, that movie's awesome.
But this like it hits so close to home as far as my love of Norse mythology, combined with like the love of God of War I have, and it's just like it's such a polished, like strong game. It's some of the best action, like as far as a kind of, you know, a more like brooding, like not so quick, like platformer type game, like just a straight action game with some like, you know, light moving around and climbing up mountains and things like that. It's one of the strongest action games I've ever played. There are some weird goofiness in there, like some of the animations when you attack enemies. If it hits the geometry in a certain way, it like goes all funky, and you know, there's things like that you can't get rid of. And there's also some elements still where it's like it looks like you should be able to jump off a ledge, but you can't. You have to go around it because it's just like it's built as a boundary box that makes it feel kind of old school. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's God of War. Like it expects you to kind of go a certain way. It's the way the game is built. So it kind of just evokes that classic style, but with a much more modern take on the story and the you know, behind the shoulder view instead of the more top down. Like it's exactly what a modern, like reimagined version of God of War should be. And the most important part, and the reason it's on this list, is because of the story. I still haven't beaten it. I'm like at the end. I just haven't gone back into it recently. I was trying to do 100% for a long time, and it got really hard. Like some of the stuff in like Niflheim and stuff, I didn't care about. Like I would do those parts, and I'd spend way too long on it, and I'd get annoyed and quit. I'm like, why? I should just enjoy the story. Like that's what I'm here for. So I need to go back and just beat it. Like just play the story without all the extra stuff. Because the game itself is easier, I'd say, than the average God of War game. It's the optional stuff that's really hard in it. I'm just playing it normal, by the way. But the story is such a good hook. Like that whole dad of boy idea, like kind of humanizing Kratos with a son, and a son that doesn't really like him because no one else likes him. So why should his son like him? But I mean, it's true. But the way they bond throughout the game and like kind of come to an understanding of each other. And you know, I've also heard about some of the twists that happen later that I don't want to know the details or anything. Like I've heard enough to be like, man,
yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, but like that kind of stuff really intrigues me in the way that like maybe there will be a future game where he becomes the new, you know, the new playable character. And like I could see that being really cool because like, you know, like father like son in a way, kind of. I'd like to see his journey growing up, which is usually why they bring in these characters, you know, the younger characters in an old franchise. But yeah, I think like we had 5 mainline God of War games where Kratos didn't really grow at all, and then now you see him like 15 or whatever years later, and suddenly he has a lot of depth, and a lot of that is to do with the voice work from Christopher Judge. He did an amazing job in this role. I don't even care that they recast the actor; he nailed it.
I also think the mocap was really good because you could see in his face like the animation of some of the things that he's thinking about that he doesn't say, like when he looks at his kid.
Because he's a very silent person, so you have to nail that mocap.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I would say like this is deserving a very high. This is a huge risk for God of War because similar to, you know, like the series that Justin and I like, Metroid. It took that formula that everybody knew, but put it in a completely different setting and it almost changed everything. And under the wrong hands, this could have been very bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like this could have been a disaster. And the fact that the team behind this were able to make a new combat system and make Kratos feel human, which I didn't think was possible after God of War 3, and make the story just as compelling as it was in the first. At least to me, I thought the first 3 were compelling. Well,
had good stories. I'm just saying the character himself didn't grow.
No, he just got progressively angrier.
Yeah.
More psychopathic. But like that's what makes this game amazing. Like it builds off that sort of tragedy of his fall and into this, like from the ashes.
And he's like in hiding, basically.
Yeah,
it's
the
whole
great.
origin of him is tragic at this point.
Yeah, I saw a whole Let's Play because I don't know when I'm going to play it at any time, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. It's an amazing game.
Yeah, it really is. And I forgot. Hold on, I forgot. Sorry, I was going to say. Oh, no, I lost it again. Go ahead.
My number. I guess I'm next.
I want to say something. Yeah. So like, God of War is in my honorable mention just because I haven't played a whole lot. I think I'm only in the second realm, so I'm fairly new in. Yeah. God, what was I gonna say? I feel like the combat in it is it's pretty easy so far. All you have to do is throw your axe at enemies. You don't even have to fight them really.
It gets harder.
I guess it does, yeah. But like right now, I'm just chucking axes, and that's fun. You can feel the weight of the handle and stuff. I forgot what I was actually gonna say, but yeah, God of War is pretty cool.
There's a lot of depth, like the customizable outfits, like the armor sets you can get, and like the different parts of your weapon and things like that kind of add some different abilities and stuff. Like you really do need to change those kind of loadouts in certain situations, or you'll die. Like, it's impossible.
The gear stuff is pretty good. I like it so far. The only thing is that I don't have a lot of currency at the moment. What I was gonna say was I kind of like how they interwoven his past into this, and it's not really explicitly stated, but people are like, "You're a god, but you're not of this world." And it's like, oh shit. It's like
it's like all the Norse gods know, like they've heard of him, but they don't know why, which is really cool. But yeah, what I was gonna say to Ben was, I think what's most impressive about this, because you mentioned Metroid, where like it drastically changed everything with Metroid Prime, and it was just like a new studio's interpretation, kind of bringing it into a new perspective and everything like that. This is similar in a way. It's kind of reinventing, the God of War franchise and like a new genre, although it's arguably more similar than Metroid Prime is to Metroid. But it's the same studio. Like Cory Barlog is the same guy that made God of War 1 and 2 and I think 3. Now, making this one. So like that's really impressive that they weren't jaded by their old works and were willing to look at this in a new way, but kind of take their baby and mature it up for modern audiences. You don't see that very often. It's always like, the Miyamotos of the world, where they're like, no, it has to be this. So I think that's the coolest thing about it. But
yeah,
that's all.
Solid. Ben, what's your number 2?
Is it a shock what my number 2 is? I love ninjas. You love ninjas. Who doesn't love ninjas? It's The Messenger, another game by Devolver Digital, but this time made by Sabotage Games. This game was fucking amazing. I loved it. Look, I know I'm an emotional guy. I love my emotional stories that make me cry and weep. But sometimes I just want to play a video game that reminds me of old school. And you want to talk about old school? This game is old school. From its homage to loving to it being a Ninja Gaiden hack and slash. To eventually a 16-bit Genesis-sounding Metroidvania. Oh my god, this game was just so much fun to play. Whether it's double jumping, using your ninja stars to get everything, or to finding all the hidden medallions, epic boss fights, amazing fourth wall humor. I swear to God, I haven't laughed this hard at a video game's dialogue in a long time. It's so funny. Like you're doing yourself a disservice to me if you don't talk to the shopkeeper. You're not going to know what that means, but just talk to the shopkeeper and you're going to be in for a laugh. It has cool twists and turns. It has time travel. It's visually impressive, both 8-bit and 16-bit. The music is so twangy with that Genesis twang, especially in the 16-bit version. I love it. It was a video game for video game's sake, and I love it. But it pays homage, and it does the good thing that the good indie games do, in that it pays homage to something from the past, but it doesn't restrain itself. It doesn't tie itself to that. It modernizes it, it rejuvenizes it, and it pushes it further than it could than those original games could have gone before. This is an amazing game. If you want something more arcadey but with a grand adventure scale, go buy this game. It's $20. It's $20. It's gonna be the best $20. One of the best $20 you spent in either 2018 or 2019. It's amazing, and it's getting a free update later this year, which is also cool. I would have paid $10 more for it. I will probably ask them to can I send you PayPal money? Can I do that for you, please? I want to give. Look,
now that you have a PayPal.
Yeah, I will. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna buy from random friends copy. Here, you get a messenger. You get the messenger. I want people to play this game. I want people to understand why this game is amazing. I want more people to understand how fun it is. And sometimes you just want to be a badass ninja. Fuck the bat boss fight though. Fuck that noise. If you've played it, you played that far, you know what I'm talking about. Fuck that fight. Reversible controls are not fun. Boom, I'm done. Ninja out.
That's the one I didn't get to play yet, but I fully expect to love.
So I've already said my number 2 was Dead Cells. Number 1, Destiny 2 Forsaken. I've talked about this game all year, so I won't say a lot here, but it's the game I've played basically every day all year almost. I've spent hours upon hours grinding into the wee mornings on weekdays. It's a game that I play with my friends and my family. I joined a clan, getting involved in that. It was I've had some of the highest highs in my gaming time this year, like clearing out nightfalls that were way above my level with clanmates, clearing out the Shattered Throne, getting the bow that lets me abort eggs and destroy Alhankaras. And it's the game that got me into Destiny 1. Like, I'm back in Destiny 1 playing that game.
What's the point?
For the story, and just like so I can experience it myself.
It's just the major story.
Hey man, I want more Destiny. That's all I can say. I can't get enough of that Destiny. Tapping into my veins, man. I spent hours just on YouTube watching My Name is Biff talk about lore videos for this thing. Like, it's just, I am hardcore into Destiny right now. A game like this hasn't come along in a very long time for me. I used to bounce it from game to game to game to game all the time, and I haven't found something that I've stuck with. And for a year now, I'm stuck with this. Who knows how many years from now I'll still be playing Destiny games. It has to be my number 1. If it wasn't, it would be Dead Cells. But god damn it. Yeah, exactly. The lore, I'm in love with it. I'm learning about it. I wanted to take on raids again with my clanmates. They fixed Destiny for both the casuals and the hardcores. There's something in there for everyone to play with. It's great. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because I talk about it. I'll still be talking about it next week or the week after. I can guarantee you that. Exactly. So anyways, that's my number 1, Destiny 2 Forsaken. You guys know I love the shit out of this thing. So Lo, you go ahead.
All right, so the top of my list. Okay, so this game is a weird pick, and it's a weird pick for a couple of different reasons. So, despite the fact that I've just been gaming primarily on PC for the last 3 years or so now, the very, very core of me, if you strip down all the weird gamer onion layers, right down to the very core, everything that the one thing that got me into video games in general is specifically Sega, because my first console was the Sega Genesis. You know, I was got into Sonic, all that kind of crap. So for that reason, at the top of my list for this year is Yakuza 0. So it's for a couple of reasons. aside from that, not just the fact that it's okay, the fact that it's a Sega title is just kind of something I'd just go on for like maybe 30 minutes. But I'm just gonna try to like do a TLDR version. So basically, I'm a longtime Sega fan. I've been horribly disappointed by a lot of their releases, and a lot of the releases I'm like, oh, this is actually great. This is cool. And some of them are just like, meh, this is like, whatever. So Yakuza 0 for me, it's a really solid game. And not only that, it just somehow manages to be more than one genre or more than one game type in one. You have all these different side games, you have all these different side quests you can do. The dialogue is hilarious, the writing, and just on the side note of the writing, just the localization of this game is just really on point, because they were able to, because a lot of the time when you bring games over from different countries, things gets lost in translation or things get omitted because they don't translate over very well just because of localization and stuff like that. Yakuza 0 is one of those games that's localized really well, where you can, it's everything's really believable as far as just kind of like the Japanese culture and just with the Yakuza and all that kind of stuff. And it's also another thing about Yakuza 0 is just the fact that I now have a new favorite Sega character, and that's Kazuma Kiryu. It was really close between him and Majima, but Kiryu wins out in the end.
Wow.
It was very, very close second. It's
That's
by
a
like
shocker.
3 hairs.
Everyone I know is like Majima all the way, man.
Really? Oh yeah. I'm curious. I love how stoic and like just
Straight
serious he
face
can
he
be
is.
1
Yeah.
second, and then the next he can just be totally just like goofing off and just doing something absolutely like ridiculous, or he'll just like
And
say
it's
like the
both in
stupidest shit with
character.
right, and he'll just say the stupidest shit with a straight ass face. I'm like, did that really come out of this man? What's going on here? That and just like the fighting mechanics of the game was just so cool. They're just so fun. Back in the day when I played Shenmue, it was one of those games I really wanted to like. And one of the things about Shenmue that I wanted to say was redeeming about it was the combat, but I can't say that because there's like 5 fights in the whole entire game. So with Yakuza 0, you can't like walk 10 steps without getting into a fight. And these fighting mechanics are so satisfying. Just the different styles you can, switch between. I'm yet to unlock the last like secret special one for each of them because I haven't progressed to the story yet. But that's the thing. I'm like taking my time going through this game because it's just so cool. So, sometimes I'll just run around, just get into fights and throw money around, or just like whatever. If I see somebody who's, handing out like just like facial tissues or whatever, I still don't know what those are for. I'm gonna figure out what those are for at some point. But
There's I don't know if they're for anything, but I always kept one because there's a cop that stops you if you walk by him.
The stop and search.
Yeah, I just give him the pocket tissue.
I actually had a gun in my inventory once, and I showed it to him. And then he's like, "Hey, why do you have this?" And then it was funny because Kiryu's like, "Well, it's actually really embarrassing. I don't want to tell you why I'm carrying this around." And then he's like, "Oh, really?" It's like, that is like, well, I trust you, so I'm going to tell you. So then like the screen goes black, and it's just like he tells him something. He's like, "Oh, wow, I never really thought someone would carry something like that around for something like that." And it was just really, and then I'm just like, it just leaves it up to your imagination. Like, what the hell did he even tell him?
Yeah,
it's those little stupid touches like that. And it's just like, it's also like, you just keep running into that cop, and it's just, oh, it's you again. Okay. And then like, it's also, that's another thing. You can build up like this relationship meter with all these different characters in the game. You can just unlock more dialogue, and it's just a lot of work went into this game. You can tell a lot of work went into it, and it's just got me really, I guess, a little more hopeful for future Sega releases, because it's just, whether or not they continue to be like, shitty release, like okay release, great release, whatever, or if they just, who knows, maybe they'll just start consistently releasing like better games. Because I'm not gonna lie, this game has that Sega jank that every Sega fan is familiar with. It's just got that little, just every now and then,
I don't like it.
Oh, yeah, I had a
with
feeling
jank.
you were like gonna like. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's just, unless you like, the only reason I feel like I'm like okay with it is because I grew up with it, So it's just like, but yeah, it's a really fun game for me. It's got me real hopeful for future Sega releases, and more specifically, I really want Yakuza 6 to come to PC, because I heard that has a Virtual Fighter in it. Is that true or not true? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's got the last one in it.
Okay, yeah, and I need my Virtual Fighter. So if we can get Yakuza 6 on PC, and it comes with that Virtua Fighter, then I can finally have Virtua Fighter on PC.
Also, Yakuza 6
if that's what it takes.
has a cat cafe in it too. So there's that.
I need to get this game. I need to get this game. So I think Kiwami's gonna be the next one, I believe.
Yeah, I think they're bringing Kiwami and Kiwami 2 to PC sometime.
Yeah, so I'm still looking forward to those though. So either way, even if they're are those ports or are those or?
They're like the Spiral trilogy where they just like remade the entire game in a different engine.
Gotcha. Okay, so either way, I'm looking forward to those because I've always heard great things about Yakuza in general. Anyways, I've always heard it was a great series. Just one of those ones I never played because it was around when I switched to PC and I just didn't have any consoles at all. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll play it at some point someday, and I'm just glad I finally got to play it. So yeah. Thanks, Yakuza, for rekindling my my very little hope that I have in Sega titles.
I knew
it's still there. It's still there.
I knew Lowe's list was going to be a wild card because most of it is older releases, but that's just the way you are, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just like that you talked about Yakuza for a while. Justin, you're number one.
All right. Do we just want to say it?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
My number one, obviously, is Spider-Man on PS4. I don't think this is surprising to anyone. Like I said, any other year, my number one probably would have been God of War. But because Spider-Man came out, nothing was ever going to be number one. Like, I had all faith that this game was going to be amazing, and it was better than I expected even. Like, I spent, I think, about probably 30 hours. Not 30 hours. Wait, sorry. How long is the... I beat the story and then some in the first weekend. So, like, 15 hours, I guess. Oh, wow. I was trying to think of how long the story was. Like, 15 hours on the first weekend it came out. I basically did nothing but play the game for most of that time. And by the next weekend, like, I'm not really playing it through the week. The next weekend, I had it 100% completed. I literally 100% completed that game in 9 days of not even, like, playing the whole time. Because I think it was a busy week or something. I don't remember exactly what happened. But, yeah. And then, like, as soon as I 100%ed, I was like, but I want to play more. Like, there's nothing else to do, but I want to keep playing it. So, New Game Plus came out, and I jumped back into that with, like, my 100%ed, like, level 50 Spider-Man. I jumped right back into the New Game Plus. Played the whole thing again. I didn't 100% complete it again, but I did beat it again. And then played the DLC. And I'm going to do those again in New Game Plus. Partially because I need to record them. For the follow-up to my story play, which will be out by the time this episode goes live. But also just because, like, I want to experience them again. And it's one of the few platinums I actually, like, went out of my way to get. The only other ones I've gotten were the Telltale games that you get just for, completing them. And, like, it wasn't even really a chore. There were a few things I didn't feel like doing. Like, Thomas was totally right. Some of the side missions, some of the, like, crimes and things you have to stop get redundant if you don't do them throughout. Like, I kind of got tired of that stuff because I just wanted to play the story. Like, I loved the story so much that in the beginning I was kind of, I was doing that stuff to grind my character levels, get more of the suits and things like that, which you mostly get at level ups. But about halfway through, the story really started to kick in, and I'm like, oh man, I don't care about anything else. I'm just going to keep doing the story missions. So by the end of the game, yeah, I had a bunch of crimes and a bunch of other things to complete, like a lot of the challenges and things like that I hadn't done yet because I didn't care at the time. So it was a lot of just cleanup. But if you just do things as you go, like every time a crime pops up on the map, if you go do that on your way to do something else, by the end of the game, you'd have them done. Like, it's well paced. It's just the problem is it's such a good story that you don't want to do the other stuff. So it kind of hurts itself in that way. But yeah, the game is perfect. Like, it plays like a dream. It is the most like Spider-Man I've ever felt and I'm someone that has multiple Spider-Man costumes, like homemade Spider-Man costumes.
Nice.
Nice.
There's I don't really know what to say about it. Like it's one of my favorite games of all time.
The combat's great. I know
Yeah.
you found that some of the bases stuff was pretty like repetitive, but I didn't
It
mind
is.
that stuff at all. Like I actually like doing the bases. I was here last week telling about that.
It's
And-
more about like by wave 5 or 6,
Yeah.
you're just kind of bombarded, and like if you die, then because like sometimes the camera gets in your way, and you're just like swarmed, and there's people shooting at you while you're trying to get the ones up close because they're like they've got you surrounded, and then you die, and it's like, well, I have to do this whole base over again.
Yeah, that happened only like once or twice for me, but like I enjoy the
Like,
combat. But I just enjoy the combat a lot. Like I varied up all of my my different gadgets and stuff. Like I like trying out the impact shooters, the electric shooters, the trip mines, the bombs. Like I varied all that stuff up. I just found the combat to be so fluid, and I like the combat in that game quite a bit. It's better than Batman.
Yeah, the only time I don't like it is with the Sable tech, because
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass.
yeah, they're annoying for one. Like a lot of their stuff like debilitates you, which just makes the combat less fun when you can't do most of your spider things. But also a lot of it's aerial, and I don't really like the aerial combat.
I like
It
that
doesn't
stuff.
feel as smooth.
Yeah.
Like I'll do the you're coming down and you just like slam down into the ground.
But you
But
don't-
a lot of it is like weird, like swinging kicks, and
If you
like,
if
trying
you
to-
do if you do an uppercut and you hold down the square button, he'll do the kick anyways. You don't have to jump into the swinging kick.
yeah, I don't like the swing though. Like I don't like the kick, and like the whole thing of like web yanking people up to you like is pretty inconsistent, and you can really only fight one enemy up in the air. So it leaves you pretty vulnerable. Whereas on the ground, you can zip back and forth around to a bunch of them, like like the Batman style. So I feel like the game is more catered to ground combat. So whenever there's a few aerial enemies, it becomes really easy to take hits while you're trying to fight them, because you try to dodge out of the way, and then you're not near them anymore, and it's just I don't know. It doesn't feel good.
All right.
But no, like everything about the game is great. Like the DLC even is good. The last DLC was actually pretty fantastic. It has a nice little post-credit scene that kind of ties more into a sequel than I would have expected. It's short, but it's nice. The other two were just fine, like they're set up, but there's enough like unique things introduced through the regular game and then in the DLC that it's just like you can tell they're still trying. Like they haven't run out of ideas, and it makes me really excited for a sequel.
Yeah,
like
the Miles stuff, like the story with Miles is like great.
yeah,
I want to talk
he's
about
more
it.
integral than I thought he was going to be.
Right. I'll spoil it with you because I want to talk about it a little bit. So when they're at the mayor conference and the bomb goes off, I was not expecting to see Miles' dad get blown up like that.
Yeah, that whole section is brutal.
Like it's the dark chapter of that game, and it really puts it to perspective. Like Mr. Negative is no joke. Like he is here to take.
It's a good point. Like it's early enough in the game that it really sets the stakes.
Yeah.
But it's pretty short. Like I said, I've been putting together for the story play, and that whole section, like, is actually just one episode without cuts. Like a lot of the others, there's bits in there where it's like you're swinging to a thing, or there's combat where it kind of I have to like do some edits and things like that to cut stuff out. That whole section is just like it's a playable movie section. Like it's so beautiful and tragic, but like it's just really well done. And there's a few other moments in the game that are just very well done and playable, in a way that like it feels like you're actually playing a movie instead of playing a video game.
Yeah, it's a great story. I love it.
I could say so much about the game, but we'll move on because it's late.
All right. Yeah, we're going 2 hours already. So I think Ben has the last word.
Okay, yeah. Is a surprise. My number one for 2018 is Celeste. Um, this
What's
game came
that?
out
I
relatively
realized we haven't
early.
talked about it yet.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt because everybody's the number ones, right?
Mhm.
And so this game came out earlier than I played it, but I couldn't get it for a lot of reasons. But I was like, I want to keep an eye on it, but nothing immediate drew me to it until I was like, well, I'm gonna, I need a game for my playing for Chicago because I had pretty much exhausted my Switch library at that point. I was actually replaying Breath of the Wild on hard mode. I was like, well, why don't I try? I was debating between Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 or Celeste, and Justin told me, you go with Celeste. I think you'll like it. I'm like, you're right. I'll go with Celeste. So I bought Celeste. And little did I know that this little indie platformer, this hardcore indie platform, which I'm not usually a fan of. I don't like Super Meat Boy. I don't like games that are super hard for the sake of super hard. That are just like, test your metal, test your skills. I casual. I like to enjoy myself. I like to engross in the story, and this game somehow manages to be ball busting hard at points, but I never felt like angry. I never felt frustrated because the whole theme of the game is don't give up. The whole the story centers around Madeline just climbing the mountain because she's going through some issues, and the whole thing is like don't stop, keep going, keep going. In your gut, and occasionally you're gonna have that little voice in the back of your head going, stop. Why are you doing this? Well, why are you doing this? You're gonna fall anyways. You know you're gonna fall, right? But you got to keep going, and that relates to the cutscenes, to the gameplay, and it just resonated with me to where, like, even when I would die like 50 times in a row on certain sections, I just was like, gotta get back up, gotta do it again, and just memorizing it over and over again.
I could do this all day.
Yeah, exactly, and like um, and just like while you're helping Madeline overcome her struggles, like you could see yourself overcoming those same struggles. So it's very relatable on multiple levels, whether you're in a rut or you just need to change the scenery or you just need to do something crazy because you just need to do something. And like that's why to me it's my game of the year. To me, and I've said this and I said it before, a game of a perfect, and this to me Celeste is a perfect game. A perfect game to me, and I said it before and I'll say it again for people who might be new, but a perfect game to me isn't a game that is without flaws or has this thing about it. A perfect game to me is something that once you pick it up, you can't stop. You can't help yourself. You're engrossed by something about it. And Celeste has so many factors in it that I just couldn't stop. Like I beat it on the plane ride home, and like the ending of Reach for the Summit has some of the best, has to me the best sort of like inspirational song in a video game, where it's like it's the pure body and it's the pure embodiment of like don't stop, keep going. Like I find myself this year, unfortunately, one particularly bad week where like I had to listen to it where like you gotta get up, you can't just be here, you can. And it's the embodiment of hope. And then the final track that plays, which is called in Exhale, is just that relief that like, see, you did it, it's okay. You're okay. It's okay. You're fine. Everything's gonna be okay. You did the thing, whatever the thing may be, and that to me is when a game transcends it from just being a simple video game. That it resonates with me. That it connected with me on an emotional level. I had the person next to me tap my shoulder because I was visually crying over beating the game and her journey. Helping her complete her journey, just like, hey, are you all right? Like, and I didn't want to be like that guy, so I was like, yeah, I'm fine, just thinking of something back at home. But like it's true, like that's how much this game resonated with me. you know, it not like, again, it was fun, it was great, it was challenging, but the story is what really hooked me in. That I've never seen a game deal with depression or just like, you know, listening to that negative side of yourself so well that it isn't handholding, that it's completely relatable, but it's not shoving it down your throat. Like it's handled so well, and it's probably because, you know, the people behind them, the Matt Makes Games, they're probably coming from their own personal experience that a lot of people can relate to, you know. So I know this, it's a very special example, but like as its own, Celeste is a great video game, but to me, like it connected to me in a way no other game has. Celeste isn't just my favorite game of this year; it's one of my favorite games of all time now. And I've gone back and played it several times to try to get the secret. There's a secret hidden area that I haven't unlocked yet, which is even better. But yeah, like, yeah, that's why it's my game of the year. It's amazing story. It's beautiful 8-bit music. It's so beautiful. Leah Rhyme, I believe her name is, Lena Rhyme, or Lena Rain. I'm sorry, the composer for the soundtrack is just, she did such wonderful work. The sprite work is amazing. The characters are memorable. The twists and turns, yeah, and that's why it's number one. Nothing else. Nothing. Even though I loved a lot of games this year. But nothing else came close to Celeste by a mile. Nothing.
I just want to point out that Ben did interview the creator of this game, so the collusion continues.
Yeah. Well, that was yeah.
He bought your number one. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That was a beautiful note to end on. I think we should end the show here because it's getting very late. It's almost 2 hours and 20 minutes for recording time.
Game of the year.
So there you go. That's your Game of the Year show. We would have done news, but man, long show.
Yeah.
I won't be here, so we'll hold off Ben's anime titty quiz show thing for next week because I'm really curious about this. I really want to do it. But yeah, I'll be in Vegas next week, and I'll be hanging out with Lo. We'll go to some strip clubs or something. I don't know. So Justin, where can the people find your stuff?
You can find me if you look up Zero Score on Twitter or YouTube, or if you look up Zero Score Gaming on Twitch when I ever get around to that. I'll be here if we do a show. I should be here next weekend if we do a show. I was going to say I'm moving in 2 weeks, so no promises. But yeah, I should be here next weekend.
Okay.
But I have Spider-Man Story Play starting this weekend. Well, the 5th, I should say. That'll be another weekly Saturday series taking the place of the Final Fantasy stuff. So check that out if you get a chance. It's literally just me editing down Spider-Man on PS4 to just, like, you know, the truncated gameplay sections and then the story stuff. But that game doesn't need any, like, you know, quote-unquote amateur voice actors because it's perfect as it is. So I had an easy job for it.
Lo.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Nero the Hero, N3R0, TAGH3R0. You can also find me on YouTube, Nero the Hero, all with letters. And you can find me here on Charge Shot.
Ben.
You can find me at twitter.com/marvelousiggy, and then also you can find me at twitch.tv/iggy284 because I'm keeping to my New Year promise of streaming more, and I've streamed a couple times already this past week, so hit my quota. I streamed all of Gris last Saturday and Sunday, I think. Yeah. So those are all on demand. I'm gonna move to my YouTube channel eventually, but I'm gonna let them sit there for a while because I think they're there for like 90 days. But then I also started streaming Undertale this past Tuesday, and that was an experience. And it's definitely interesting. I'm gonna stream more of it. But I even had a nice person who was clearly an Undertale fan, but was not condescending nor angry because I didn't do a thing. So far so good. I'm enjoying myself so far. But I'm gonna be streaming more stuff. This is gonna make Justin happy. But I think I'm gonna be streaming Donkey Kong Country 3 this month. For some reason, I want to play a Donkey Kong game, and I don't have Tropical Freeze. I don't want to open Tropical Freeze. I want to play an old school one. So I'm gonna give DKC 3 a shot. I want to see. Well, maybe I misjudged it when I was younger. So, but yeah, Twitter.com/MarvelousIggy and Twitch.tv/Iggy214. And I'm just gonna put a premiere date so I can owe myself to it. Shovel Knight Let's Play will be premiering on Monday, January 21st. For those that are interested, if you're not, that's fine. But if you know somebody who's in the Let's Plays, have at it. It'll be coming out on the 21st. And now I'll be able to play the Switch version because thanks to Thomas.
Nice.
Oh snap!
And Lo.
You already
did
said
me
this.
already.
Wait, Lo. No, Lo didn't.
Yeah, Lo said
Jesus fucking Christ. What
a break! You're gonna break.
You can find me, your host Thomas, on Twitter, CSG Thomas on Twitter, where I say Fern Golly is shit, and people back me up because I'm right.
Except my real life friends.
You can also email me, thomas@tryshot.com, and also visit our website, tryshot.com, for all of our audio, video, and written content needs. And until then, guys, Fern Golly sucks.
Fern Gully sucks.
Y'all are mean.
I will stay with the calls in my recording.
Toxic love.
I did that before.
I know you did. All right, yeah, I gotta go to bed like immediately because we're working on more house stuff in the morning.
It's very late.
I have an electrician coming to the house at like 10 a.m.
Oh wow.
Oh jeez.
We have to get some outlets grounded because there's not very many, and we have computers and things.
Yeah, man, you need that grounded.
Full house.
Absolutely.
There's plenty in the basement, but it's not livable yet. But all right,
Good night.
this was fun.
Yeah, it was.
This fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a good night, boys.
Good night, gentlemen.
See y'all next week.